on Cronkite News, it is the 14-year anniversary of the Affordable Care Act. Arizona legislators and health experts look back on its effect on Arizonans.
Plus, being a constable is a tough job, often requiring them to evict people. And it's a job without many resources for the constables themselves.
They're yelling and screaming. Perhaps they're going to grab something that's close, a baseball bat.
Coming up, a look at the proposed bill to help these constables access mental health benefits.
And Arizona Coyotes fans might recognize this last name, Doan. We'll tell you who the Coyotes called up for tonight's matchup. Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News. I'm Marnie Jordan.
And I'm Jesse Broaders. Thank you for joining us. The Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare, is celebrating its 14th anniversary. Some Arizona leaders took to today to honor the health coverage it has granted them and others across the state.
Cronkite News reporter Adriana Gonzalez-Chavez shares with us whose lives it has impacted.
It took a while for me to really believe that this was true. And then, of course, I had no idea how much it was going to cost. But thankfully, I had good insurance through the Affordable Care Act, so I was able to pay what it took for me to be in remission today.
Laura Packard is a stage 4 cancer survivor, and she says the Affordable Care Act saved her life and gave her one less thing to worry about.
Once I hit the few $1,000s cap, then I didn't have to pay anymore. So I would still get bills in the mail every day, but they were paid.
Other Arizona leaders have a similar story.
That without insurance, I would not have been able to afford the treatment that literally has kept me alive. I've had 3 reoccurrences. Last week, I found out I'm cancer-free, but the treatment continues.
Arizona State Senator Leila Alston believes she would not be able to receive the quality care she has as a retired teacher if it was not for the Affordable Care Act. That is why she, alongside other Arizona organizations like Valle del Sol Community Health Center and Children's Action Alliance, celebrated the act today.
In 2024 alone, more than 348,000 Arizonans received health care coverage through the Affordable Care Act. Many fear that if it were to disappear, thousands of Arizonans would lose coverage.
Back in 2010, the Goldwater Institute filed a lawsuit against the act, challenging its constitutionality. The institute did not want to comment on the act today. In a recent article published by Arizona Mirror about the Affordable Care Act, Arizona Congressman Juan Ciscomani said, "The Republican Study Committee produces a number of common sense provisions. However, I do not subscribe to every proposal they put out. What best reflects my perspectives are the votes I take, bills I introduce, and legislation I co-sponsor." In Phoenix, Adriana Gonzalez-Chavez, Cronkite News.
The Supreme Court held oral arguments today on major implications for access to medication abortion. The court is questioning whether the FDA overstepped its authority by allowing patients to get the drug through telehealth appointments and via mail. The chief medical officer at Planned Parenthood Arizona supports the abortion pill and said in a statement today that she believes after 100 years of research, medication abortion is safe, effective, and essential health care for Arizona and the nation. This is the first abortion-related hearing since the court reversed Roe v. Wade.
A container ship lost power and crashed into the Baltimore Francis Scott Key Bridge early this morning, causing the bridge to collapse into the river.
And this is still very much an active search and rescue mission. And there is not a single resource that we will hold off on deploying. I have already authorized the deployment of everything from air, land, and sea resources to make sure that this search and rescue operation is carried out to its fullest intent.
The container ship struck one of the bridge's pylons, resulting in the 1.5-mile long bridge to collapse. This sent any cars, unfortunately, into the water. There are at least 6 people still missing. President Biden vowed to use federal funds for recovery and rebuilding.
It's my intention that the federal government will pay for the entire cost of reconstructing that bridge, and I expect the Congress to support my effort. This is going to take some time. The people of Baltimore can count on us, though, to stick with them at every step of the way.
Back here in the valley, you may have noticed a major cool down in the morning over the last few days.
That's right. And that's not the only weather change headed our way. Sydney Whitney joins us now from the Weather Center with what we can expect.
That's exactly right. We have a cool evening ahead of us. Right now we're sitting in the mid-60s with some light winds, and that's only going to continue throughout the evening when we hit 10 p.m. tonight at 62 degrees. But check this out. We have a storm system coming across the state today. I'll explain this and more coming up in just a few minutes.
The job of a constable can be a difficult one, as they often see people at some of their toughest moments. Yet they don't always get the same amount of support as other law enforcement officers. But as Lauren Bly tells us, there's a bill moving through the legislature that hopes to change that.
Getting into his car every morning, Constable Scott Blake doesn't know what type of day may lie ahead.
Yeah, being surprised for 2 evictions, 1 order of protection.
And he doesn't know if that day's work will stay with him forever in the form of trauma.
I have seen it get out of control. They're yelling and screaming. Perhaps they're going to grab something that's close, a baseball bat, golf clubs.
That's why amending House Bill 2103 is important to him and many other constables and deputy constables. It would mean they're protected under the Craig-Tiger Act. Adding constables and deputy constables to the definition of a peace officer would allow them to qualify for trauma counseling.
We want to make sure that they get their counseling as every other police officer or every other person that's asked to perform certain tasks on behalf of the community.
Blake says most people have no idea the job constables have to do every day, and that's why they've been overlooked when it comes to benefits they receive.
They thought that all we did was serve papers. And it's a lot more than that.
In Surprise, Lauren Bly, Cronkite News.
Currently, the bill is awaiting full approval for the Senate. If you've seen a cute dog out and about while shopping or hiking, it might actually be up for adoption.
After the break, we'll look at an animal shelter's new program.
It's a short commitment, but it can have a profound impact on the dog leaving the shelter.
A new way to get more dogs out in the public eye with hopes of finding them a forever home.
What Cronkite News means to me is opportunity.
We do news right at Cronkite News, serving a community ethically, honestly, and truthfully.
And we can provide a necessarily different angle, different voice for those people that really need it.
The students, they have a lot of passion for journalism.
I get to do a lot of stories about the Hispanic community.
And we have access to cover all of these sorts of events and get media coverage of all these different personalities and athletes, and that's just a huge thing.
But it's also a chance for people here to be humanized. Individuals of all walks of life.
Cronkite News will help take the next generation of journalists onto their next careers.
I am old enough to remember Walter Cronkite.
We're putting a lot of pride on his name because we are practicing a lot of the things that he did.
I think he'd be smiling from ear to ear.
I.
We are Cronkite.
The Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication's Phoenix Sports Bureau provides students with hands-on learning experiences and opportunities in sports journalism. From covering local high schools, colleges, and the pros, students get the opportunity to go live from our Facebook shows covering local, collegiate, and pro sports in the Valley. From digital reporting, broadcast, social media, and producing, there's opportunities for all. For more, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Welcome back. The Maricopa County Animal Care and Control is asking people not to bring pets to their shelters unless it is an emergency. The shelter recently had a dog that tested positive for strep zoo. There is no preventive vaccine for strep zoo, but antibiotics can help. Shelter staff are asking all new adopters or fosters who visited the MCACC West shelter since March 9th to keep their pet away from other animals for 2 weeks and take them to the vet if they suspect strep zoo.
Well, it seems as if there's a never-ending influx of animals entering animal shelters, and finding ways to get people interested in adopting them isn't easy. Reporter Athena Kehoe went to one animal shelter here in the Valley that launched a new program just last month in hopes of increasing adoption rates.
Tiffany is 3 years old. She entered the shelter after the COVID-19 pandemic and has been waiting ever since to find her forever home.
We're starting to see the aftermath of a surplus of puppies and kittens being born. And so now what was already an overpopulation crisis of pets is getting exacerbated by the fact that we missed so many spay-neuter surgeries due to COVID.
To combat the overpopulation, Arizona Humane Society implemented a program where people can volunteer to take a dog on a field trip for a few hours.
Our staff knows which ones have been here the longest and also which ones are showing some signs of kennel stress.
Casados explains that allowing the dog to be seen out in public can spark interest and attract anybody that might want to adopt a dog.
When you come to take a dog on a field trip, it's okay if you come unprepared. You can expect to get a backpack that looks exactly like this one that has goodies inside for both you and the dog. You can expect to get the Adopt Me vest, a cup for water for the dog, and for you, you can know where to take them.
It's a short commitment, but it can have a profound impact on the dog leaving the shelter.
Gunter has studied the impact the field trips have on dogs and found that if dogs go on field trips, they are 5 times more likely to be adopted than a dog that doesn't go out on one. And the people who take dogs on field trips aren't the only ones adopting them. The field trips also get other people interested.
It is really people talking to other people about the dogs and sharing how wonderful they are.
It is recommended to take the dogs shopping, on easy walking trails, or patio hangouts that are dog friendly. For Cronkite News, I'm Athena Kehoe.
And we've just learned that the dog in that piece, Tiffany, has found her forever home. A volunteer must be at least 21 years old, and it's available on the weekends. Maricopa County Animal Shelter also offers a dog field day program. Well, we may be struggling with housing, gas, and food prices, Marnie.
Arizona is still one of the most affordable states, according to a recent data analysis by USA Today. Arizona was the 3rd most affordable state in terms of total cost of living, coming behind Utah and Tennessee. Arizona's total cost of living was around $48,000, ranking 11th for healthcare expenditures and 12th for income taxes, ranking 21st for gas prices and 27th for grocery costs. The most expensive states to live in are California and New York. One thing about Arizona that will never change is our beautiful weather in the spring.
That's right, but there is a storm heading our way. Sydney Whitty is back with us now. Sydney, what can we expect?
Yeah, depending on what parts of the state you're in today, we did see some rain as we have in the valley for the past few days. But as a matter of fact, north of the state and the southeast region of the state saw quite some wet rain today. As you can see right here, the storm passed through the state today. But taking a look at our low temperatures for tomorrow, 55 here in Phoenix, 60 at Lake Havasu City, 48 down in Tucson, and Window Rock at 25 with our lowest low. And our high temperatures across the valley for tomorrow will be at 78. That's about average for this time of year. 81 at Lake Havasu City, 81 in Yuma. Those will be our highest highs, and 52 in Flagstaff. And taking a look at our highs tomorrow for the valley, taking a closer look, 78 here in Phoenix, Queen Creek at 74, Cave Creek at 71. And for our 8-day forecast, tomorrow we'll have sunny skies, and that will also continue on Friday. But this weekend for Easter might make out for quite a wet one. On Sunday, we have a 50% chance of rain, and that rain chance continues through Monday, but we will see sunny skies again on Monday and Tuesday. I'm Sydney Whitty in the Cronkite Weather Center. Back to you.
I'm Paul Schultz with a preview of your Cronkite Sports Report. Coming up next, the Suns are reuniting with a 2-time All-Star who's been out of the NBA since 2022. The journey of that comeback when we return.
ASU's one and only student-run radio station, Blaze Radio, provides students with opportunities to cover a variety of topics. From music,
this is Sun City Garage,
to sports coverage,
against the Brewers in his last outing, he went
to news.
The bill also gives parents the ability to sue.
And entertainment updates. Blaze Radio offers a fun environment to gain valuable broadcast experience. To find out more, visit blazeradioonline.com.
As journalists at Cronkite News, we report on stories that matter to you by focusing on the local impact. We dig deeper and work tirelessly to keep you informed.
Live in Wickerburg.
Live in Los Angeles.
In Cleveland. In Washington. In Louisville.
From Jerusalem.
Live in Philadelphia. From around the world to right here in Phoenix.
At Cronkite News, we report the facts and stick to the truth.
Welcome to the Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Paul Schultz. The Arizona Coyotes recalled Josh Doan yesterday from the Tucson Roadrunners, and he will make his NHL debut tonight against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Cronkite News reporter Ari Wall joins us with a preview of what Coyotes fans can expect.
Yeah, well, if the last name Doan sounds familiar, that's because Josh Doan is the son of former Coyote longtime captain Shane Doan. Josh, who was born and raised here in Arizona, played collegiate hockey at Arizona State University, where he was captain in his sophomore year. He was drafted by the Coyotes with the 37th overall pick in 2021 and is 22 years old. Doan joins a young core of Dylan Gunther and Logan Cooley, who the Coyotes hope can be a big part of their future. After today's morning skate, Doan spoke about how special it is to play for the team he grew rooting up for.
Obviously, I've left home to come to this rink 1,000 times, and this time feels a little bit different than the past. And it's something that it's a unique experience and something that I'm hoping to absorb all of throughout the day.
In 62 games with the Tucson Roadrunners this season, Doan had 26 goals and 20 assists, and he will join the Coyotes, who have just 11 games left in the regular season. In the Cronkite Sports Bureau, I'm Ari Wall.
All right, thank you, Ari. The Phoenix Suns suffered another loss last night, this time to the Spurs. The team is frustrated. Fans are frustrated. Time is running out to turn things around before the playoffs, and time's also running out on Isaiah Thomas's 10-day contract. IT was brought to the team to see if he could provide a spark despite not playing in the NBA for 2 years. Cronkite News reporter Trey Matthews has more on Thomas's comeback challenge.
I just took it day by day, step by step, and just continue to work and, showcase what I can bring to an organization. And then, Phoenix came calling. So I'm super blessed, super thankful, and, ready for the opportunity.
The Phoenix Suns recently signed Isaiah Thomas to a 10-day contract. However, prior to signing on the dotted line, Thomas had been out of the NBA for over a year. The two-time NBA All-Star has dealt with serious hip injuries that have kept him sidelined for quite some time. But despite the obstacles, he stayed true to his motto of slow grind and was hoping for another chance.
Slow grind is a lifestyle. That's just what I've been on. I think anything that you work for in life is a slow grind. All I ever wanted was a chance. I'll do the rest if I get a legit opportunity. And I'm back in the NBA. I got an NBA jersey, and I know for a fact I'm going to take full advantage of it and make sure this lasts as long as I possibly can make it.
Before returning to the NBA, Thomas was playing for the Salt Lake City Stars of the G League, where he was averaging 32.5 points per game in 4 game appearances. Head coach Frank Vogel spoke about his expectations for Thomas moving forward.
He's a very well-liked, respected guy in this league, in this NBA player fraternity. But we're going to see where his game is at, and again, I don't know how much he'll play for us. He's really here from a depth standpoint because savingly only has 4 games left.
Isaiah Thomas is still in the midst of his 10-day deal, but he hopes to slow grind his way to a full-time contract in order to help the Phoenix Suns make a deep playoff push. At the 5G Performance Center, Trey Matthews, Cronkite News.
Currently, Thomas has appeared in 1 game for the Suns and saw 2 minutes of action. It's a little over a week away until the Final Four festivities begin in Phoenix. To start building momentum for the occasion, a new art piece has been unveiled in Old Town Scottsdale. This cactus basketball hoop was designed by Hispanic and indigenous artist Paul Molina, who wove in symbols that represent 22 different tribes in Arizona. The hoop sprung up on the Marshall Way Bridge in Old Town and will be joined by 3 other hoops across the valley, all with unique designs.
The graphic below is a roadrunner, just showing the agility and the speed and just kind of the movement of the basketball players. So this particular statue represents the sunrise, and the other statue that has the jackrabbit on it will represent the sunset. So if you look at the colors, from the orange and yellows down to the red, that's representing the early morning. Working with the NCAA marketing team, they're just amazing people over there, and they had a great vision and allowing me really to kind of, incorporate my artwork, my style, and represent the culture here in the community.
Spring training is coming to an end this week, and many teams are headed back to their respective cities, including the Kansas City Royals. Starting pitcher Brady Singer has overcome setbacks and set out this spring to make 2024 his redemption campaign. Jack Bartlett has more on the Royals' promising young arm.
The 2023 season can best be characterized as a lost one for Royals starting pitcher Brady Singer. In the wake of injuries and inconsistencies, Singer struggled last season, but now he is motivated for a comeback attempt that starts in spring training.
Had a good offseason, was a full-time dad, but, obviously learning to, get better, trying to figure out some new pitches. And, I've worked on a lot of those throughout the offseason and brought a few here. So excited to get this going and see how it goes.
In his 5th year at the major league level, Singer says he's learning how to stay consistent during a long and windy season. Manager Matt Cottrero is feeling confident in Brady's future on the KC mound.
He looks great. He's healthy. His back is feeling good. He had a career high in innings last year. So there were some positives within what everyone considered to be a down year. Brady's probably among the most motivated to get back to the form that he knows he can be, so we're expecting that.
Singer's dedication and commitment to his pitching hasn't gone unnoticed with his teammates. They have seen the improvements he's made during the offseason.
He's always been super mature, always been an elite competitor. So just, maintaining those things and always just trying to get better, looking for a new edge, a new advantage, ways to improve his game. And, I've been able to face him alive this spring so far, and he's been looking really good.
Singer looks to follow up a strong season from 2022, where he ended the year with a 3.23 ERA. His discipline and maturity are key traits that will help him continue to grow this spring training. In Surprise, Jack Bartlett, Cronkite News.
The Royals' home opener is Thursday against the Minnesota Twins, and D-backs fans, your team opens up at home on Thursday. 7:05 is the first pitch at Chase Field. That's all for today's Cronkite Sports Report. Sending it back to Marnie and Jesse.
Coming up next, from outer space back to Mother Earth.
NASA's first Indigenous woman in space visited the valley today. How the astronaut inspired students and faculty with her personal journey.
What Cronkite News means to me is opportunity.
We do news right at Cronkite News, serving a community ethically, honestly, and truthfully.
And we can provide a necessarily different angle, different voice for those people that really need it.
The students, they have a lot of passion for journalism.
I get to do a lot of stories about the Hispanic community.
And we have access to cover all of these sorts of events and get media coverage of all these different personalities and athletes, and that's just a huge thing.
But it's also a chance for people here to be humanized. Individuals of all walks of life.
Cronkite News will help take the next generation of journalists onto their next careers.
I am old enough to remember Walter Cronkite.
We're putting a lot of pride on his name because we are practicing a lot of the things that he did.
I think he'd be smiling from ear to ear.
I.
We are Cronkite.
At Cronkite News, learn to work behind the camera for studio production. Our students spend time learning the ins and outs of all that it takes to run a newscast. From setting up the studio to building exciting graphics, studio production provides a job for everyone. Whether it be running audio, technical directing, or directing the newscast, students can experience the action behind the scenes. Join our team today.
In Washington, D.C., comedian Kevin Hart is being honored with the 25th Mark Twain Prize for American Humor. It's one of the highest honors in comedy.
He accepted the award at the Kennedy Center, thanking his peers for their support.
So all jokes aside, thank you
for showing up on a night that's so dope that could not be as dope without real relationships and real energy.
An out-of-this-world visit, NASA's first Indigenous woman to visit space, stopped by the Valley today.
The special occasion, Estrella Mountain Community College's Women's History Month. Colonel Nicole Mann spoke to students at the community college, encouraging them to not give up hope if they are unsure of their future. She shared her own personal journey and what life in space was like as she spent 157 days aboard the International Space Station as commander of SpaceX Crew 5. She is also a member of the Wailaki of the Round Valley Indian tribes.
It's incredible, the mission in space, and I feel really proud to represent the Indigenous community. I think it's so important that we reach out to some of the communities that are underrepresented and maybe don't have the access or the information that a lot of the world has.
That's it for Cronkite News. Thanks for joining us.
And to see top Arizona stories anytime, log on to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.